Emma was 72 when she called me in the middle of a quiet Tuesday afternoon. Her voice was gentle, but I could hear the strain hiding behind her words. She said she'd been feeling foggy lately, like her thoughts were moving through slow, sticky syrup. The small things in her day, remembering the neighbor's name, finding her keys, or recalling why she had walked into the kitchen, were slipping through her fingers more often. Just last week, she tripped over the edge of her living room rug, barely catching herself on the arm of the sofa. That close call shook her more than she cared to admit, because in her heart, she knew she wasn't just dealing with clumsiness. When I saw her the next day, she sat across from me with her hands folded in her lap, her favorite knitted cardigan buttoned all the way to the top. Her eyes searched mine for reassurance, but also for answers. I told her what every seasoned doctor eventually learns: the brain and body often whisper before they shout. Forgetfulness, a bit of dizziness, slower reactions, these are not always just old age. Sometimes they are signs that the body, starved of certain nutrients, is quietly asking for help. That's when she told me about her mornings. Every day, Emma would begin with a bowl of cereal topped with a handful of fresh blueberries. She had read somewhere that blueberries were a superfood for seniors, and she'd felt proud of this little ritual. But as she spoke, I noticed something. She always poured cold cow's milk over the berries, the same way she had since she was a young mother feeding her children before school. That detail alone sent a quiet alarm through my mind. I explained to her that blueberries truly are one of nature's most powerful protectors for the brain, heart, eyes, and skin. But they are also delicate. Their most valuable compounds can be easily masked, even blocked, when combined with certain foods. Sometimes, I told her, we think we're doing the right thing, but we end up canceling the very benefits we're trying to get. She looked surprised, her hand frozen midway to her teacup. That's when I promised her I'd guide her step by step, showing her not only how to get the most from her blueberries, but also how to avoid the silent mistakes that might be stealing their magic. It was more than just about fruit. This was about Emma reclaiming her confidence in her body, the clarity of her thoughts, the steadiness of her balance, and the sparkle in her eyes. Over the next few weeks, we made small, gentle changes. I showed her how to enjoy her berries in ways that would let their antioxidants flow freely into her system. She began blending them with bananas and oat milk, stirring them into Greek yogurt, sprinkling them over warm oatmeal without any dairy in sight. And little by little, she noticed shifts that surprised her. Her morning fog began to lift. She told me she could remember the names of people she hadn't seen in months. Her footing felt more secure. She wasn't gripping the railing on the porch quite as tightly. Even her friends began to comment on how her eyes looked brighter, her skin more alive. These were not miracles. They were simply the quiet rewards of giving her body the right tools to heal, protect, and strengthen itself. When I saw her again a month later, Emma walked into my office with a lightness in her step that hadn't been there before. She set down a small container of homemade blueberry muffins, her new recipe, made without dairy, full of walnuts and cinnamon. She smiled as she said, "I thought I was just eating fruit. I didn't realize I could be eating my way to a better life." And that's when I realized that this story, Emma's story, is one that far too many people over 60 need to hear. Because sometimes the key to aging well isn't in a new pill or a complicated program. Sometimes it's in something as small as a berry and in knowing how to let it work its quiet magic without interference. In this video, I'll share with you exactly what I told Emma, the hidden combinations that can rob blueberries of their power, and the easy, delicious pairings that can turn them into one of the best allies for your brain, your heart, and your years ahead. The morning light spilled gently into Emma's kitchen, brushing over the pale yellow curtains and settling on the small wooden table where she sat with her bowl of cereal. It was the same quiet ritual she had followed for years, a handful of fresh blueberries, plump and dark, scattered across the surface of her breakfast like tiny jewels. She loved the way their deep blue skin glistened in the sunlight, loved the soft pop when she bit into one, the gentle sweetness that filled her mouth. Somewhere along the way, she had learned that blueberries were good for her heart, her memory, her eyes, and that was enough reason to keep them as a daily companion. But there was something else about these mornings. For Emma, it wasn't just breakfast, it was a moment of peace, a private act of care. She had been through enough in her 72 years to know that small things matter. Her husband, Tom, used to join her at this table before work, reading the newspaper while she poured milk into both their bowls. Now, years later, the paper sat untouched, but the milk still poured, a habit she hadn't thought twice about. One day, as I sat with her in that kitchen, I watched her repeat the motion she had done for decades: cereal, blueberries, milk. I asked her if she ever ate the blueberries on their own. She paused mid-pour, looking puzzled. "No," she said, "I like them with my cereal. Why would I eat them alone?" It was an innocent question, but behind it lay a truth that would change the way she thought about her mornings forever. I told her that blueberries carry within them a kind of natural armor, powerful compounds called anthocyanins that protect the brain, fight inflammation, and slow down the aging of cells. But like any fragile treasure, they can be damaged if handled the wrong way. Dairy, as comforting and familiar as it may be, can quietly block the very benefits she was hoping to receive. She looked at me, brows knit in a mixture of curiosity and doubt. "So you're saying I've been eating them wrong all these years?" Her question wasn't just about food, it was about trust. Trust in the routines she had built, trust in the advice she thought she had followed well. I could see her mind turning over the years of breakfasts, the hope she had placed in those little berries. I nodded gently. "You've been eating them the way most people do. But there's a better way, one that lets your body soak up every drop of goodness they have to give." She sat back in her chair, a small sigh escaping her lips. "All this time, I thought I was doing it right." Her eyes went to the window, where a soft breeze swayed the flowers in her small garden. I didn't rush her. These moments of realization often came with a quiet kind of grief, as if saying goodbye to an old friend. But they also held the promise of something new. That week, we made a simple change. No more milk in the mornings with her blueberries. Instead, she kept them in a small glass dish beside her cup of tea, letting the flavor of each one bloom in her mouth without the shadow of dairy to mute it. At first, she missed the comfort of her old habit. But then, something surprising happened. She began to notice the berries more, their brightness, their depth, the way they seemed to carry a hint of summer even in the middle of winter. And then, almost without trying, she began to feel different. Mornings no longer carried the same fog. She told me she could follow a crossword clue without losing her train of thought halfway through. She remembered where she had placed her gardening gloves. Her granddaughter laughed one afternoon, saying, "Grandma, you're quicker than me at these word puzzles now." It was said in jest, but Emma held on to those words like a small badge of honor. One morning, she invited me over again. This time, her table was set with a small plate of sliced banana beside the blueberries, a pot of steaming tea, and no sign of cereal or milk. She grinned as she offered me a spoonful of her new creation. "You were right," she said softly. "It's not the same. It's better. I didn't know something so small could make me feel so awake." That's the beauty of change at any age. It doesn't always require sweeping overhauls or complicated regimens. Sometimes it's just a matter of letting a good thing be itself, unhidden, unmuted, and free to work its quiet magic. And for Emma, the simple act of eating her blueberries alone was the first step in a much larger journey, one that would lead her to more discoveries, more strength, and a deeper connection to the years still ahead. A week after Emma changed her morning routine, she invited me back to her cozy kitchen. The light was softer this time of year, filtering through a thin mist outside her window, casting delicate shadows on the wooden floor. She was preparing a fresh salad, one of her favorite dishes since she loved the crispness and refreshing taste of cucumbers. I could see her enthusiasm as she chopped the green slices, mixing them with a few handfuls of spinach and a drizzle of olive oil. But as we talked, Emma admitted something that surprised her. Despite the fresh fruits and vegetables she was eating daily, she still felt a subtle weariness creeping into her afternoons. Her energy would dip by midday, and sometimes she noticed a slight heaviness in her joints that she couldn't quite explain. It was as if the health improvements she'd hoped for were only partial, and that something was holding her back. That's when I shared a lesser-known fact about cucumbers and their interaction with blueberries. It's a simple truth, but one that few people realize. Cucumbers contain an enzyme called ascorbate oxidase. This enzyme actively breaks down vitamin C, the very nutrient blueberries are rich in, and that plays a critical role in skin health, immune support, and even iron absorption. Emma's eyebrows knitted in concern as I explained how this meant that eating cucumbers and blueberries together could reduce the vitamin C's effectiveness before her body even had the chance to absorb it. "So when I toss cucumbers and blueberries into the same salad or smoothie, I'm undoing some of the good I'm trying to get?" she asked softly, a hint of disappointment in her voice. I nodded gently. It's not that either food is bad. They are both wonderful in their own right. But timing matters, especially when it comes to enzymes that can affect nutrient absorption. I encouraged her not to give up on either, but to space out their consumption by at least half an hour to let her body soak in the nutrients properly. Emma's face brightened slightly with relief. That makes sense, she said, and it's something I can easily do. I'll have my blueberries in the morning and save cucumbers for lunch or dinner. She paused, considering the shift. It's like giving my body a chance to appreciate each food on its own. As days passed, Emma's energy levels began to rise steadily. The afternoon heaviness faded, and she noticed a new sense of lightness in her step during her daily walks. Even Tom remarked on how she seemed more vibrant, as if a quiet spark had returned. What had felt like a small adjustment turned out to be a meaningful shift, one that reminded her how gentle changes could have profound effects. This part of Emma's journey also reflected a deeper awareness. Aging gracefully isn't about perfection, but about listening carefully to one's body and learning the subtle art of timing and balance. It's a dance of respect, respecting the foods we eat, the moments we choose to eat them, and the unique rhythms of our own health. By simply separating the timing of blueberries and cucumbers, Emma had unlocked a new layer of well-being. It was a reminder that in the complexities of nutrition, sometimes the simplest insights bring the greatest gifts. A few weeks later, Emma sat by her window with a small bowl of fruit in front of her. It was a colorful mix, blueberries nestled alongside bright chunks of pineapple, a combination she often enjoyed for its sweet, tropical taste. She smiled as she took a bite, savoring the juicy burst of flavor, but soon that smile faded slightly. Her hand instinctively moved to her stomach, where a faint discomfort was beginning to grow. Emma hesitated before sharing with me that lately, after eating her favorite fruit bowl, she sometimes felt a mild burning sensation and occasional bloating. She wondered if it was just a part of getting older or perhaps something she should worry about. Her openness reminded me how sensitive digestion becomes with age, and how even foods that seem wholesome can sometimes challenge our bodies in unexpected ways. I gently explained that pineapple, while rich in vitamins and bromelain, a helpful enzyme that aids digestion and reduces inflammation, also has a high acidity level. Combined with the acidity naturally present in blueberries, this pairing can stimulate excess stomach acid production. For many, especially seniors like Emma, this can lead to discomfort such as acid reflux, bloating, or nausea. Emma listened carefully, nodding as the pieces began to fit together. So it's not just about what I eat, but also how my body handles it, especially as I get older, she asked quietly. Exactly, I said. Our digestive systems change over time, and some combinations can overwhelm the stomach's delicate balance. The good news is, you don't have to give up either fruit. Simply spacing them out by an hour or more can allow your stomach to process one fruit before introducing the next. She smiled with relief, appreciating the simplicity of the advice. I guess I'll just enjoy blueberries in the morning and save pineapple for a refreshing afternoon snack, she said thoughtfully. Over the following days, Emma noticed a remarkable difference. The discomfort eased, her digestion felt smoother, and the joy of eating her favorite fruits returned without hesitation. More than that, she felt empowered by this knowledge, the sense that she was learning to honor her body's changing needs without sacrificing the pleasures she loved. This part of Emma's story is a gentle reminder for all of us that healthy aging is as much about awareness as it is about action. It's about tuning in to what our bodies tell us and making small, thoughtful choices that support comfort and vitality. Pineapple and blueberries are both gifts of nature, each with their own strengths, and when enjoyed mindfully, they become allies rather than adversaries in the journey toward lasting wellness. Emma's kitchen had become a small laboratory of discovery, where each day brought new experiments with flavors and textures. One morning, she called me excitedly to share her latest breakthrough. She had been blending blueberries with bananas and a splash of oat milk, creating a creamy smoothie that felt like a fresh start. It's delicious, she said, and I actually feel stronger during my morning walks. What Emma had stumbled upon was more than just a tasty combination. Bananas, rich in potassium, vitamin B6, and magnesium, bring natural sweetness and energy to the table. More importantly, their soluble fiber helps regulate blood sugar and improves the absorption of antioxidants from blueberries. This meant that by pairing these two fruits, Emma was not just enjoying a flavorful treat, but also supercharging the health benefits she sought. Encouraged, Emma added another new friend to her blueberry routine: plain, unsweetened Greek yogurt. Thick, tangy, and packed with protein and probiotics, Greek yogurt supports muscle maintenance and a healthy gut microbiome, both crucial for seniors. She loved mixing the yogurt with blueberries, topped with a sprinkle of cinnamon or chia seeds, savoring the creamy texture that soothed her and kept her full until lunch. The transformation wasn't just physical. Emma's family noticed it too. Her granddaughter, visiting one afternoon, remarked on how vibrant and energetic Grandma seemed. "You're glowing," she exclaimed, hugging Emma tight. For Emma, these moments were affirmations that her small daily choices were making a real difference, weaving wellness into the fabric of her life. But the final surprise came with the addition of walnuts. One evening, Emma sprinkled chopped walnuts over her blueberry and Greek yogurt bowl. Walnuts are rich in alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid that nourishes the brain, calms inflammation, and supports heart health. This combination created a powerful trio, a functional food blend that shielded her memory, uplifted her mood, and strengthened her body. With these new partners, blueberries transformed from a simple snack into a natural wellness ritual. Emma's mornings were no longer a routine, but a celebration of nourishment and care. This chapter of Emma's journey reminds us that health is rarely about one magic ingredient. Instead, it's the harmony of foods working together that creates lasting strength and vitality. When paired wisely, even the smallest berries become mighty allies in the art of aging well. Over the next few weeks, Emma's kitchen table became a canvas for new habits, small, deliberate changes that stitched together a healthier, more vibrant daily life. She found joy not just in what she ate, but in the mindful way she prepared her meals. Blueberries no longer accompanied dairy. Instead, they paired with nourishing friends that enhanced their power. She measured her progress not in grand leaps, but in subtle shifts: a clearer mind, steadier steps, a lighter spirit. One morning, as she stirred her blueberry and Greek yogurt bowl, Emma shared a story from a recent family gathering. Her daughter had noticed the change and asked, "Mom, what's your secret? You look happier, more alive." Emma smiled and simply said, "I'm just listening to my body." That honesty resonated deeply with her loved ones, inspiring quiet curiosity and a willingness to explore better habits themselves. But it wasn't always easy. Emma encountered moments of doubt and old habits pulling her back. The comfort of familiar routines, like pouring cold milk over cereal, beckoned strongly. Yet with each choice to try something new, she felt more confident in her ability to nurture herself. The small sacrifices, skipping cow's milk at breakfast, spacing out certain fruits, were outweighed by the growing energy and peace she experienced. Her doctor visits began to reflect these changes too. Routine tests showed improvements in blood sugar control and inflammation markers, subtle signs that her body was responding well to her evolving diet. Emma didn't see these numbers as the whole story, but as encouragement, proof that mindful eating was a powerful tool for aging with grace. This part of Emma's journey is a testament to the quiet strength found in persistence and self-care. It's about understanding that healthy aging is a lifelong conversation with oneself, full of learning, adjustment, and above all, kindness. As Emma continues, she becomes not just a patient or a senior, but a steward of her own wellness, guiding herself toward a future filled with possibility and vitality. As the seasons shifted, Emma found herself sitting quietly in her garden, the soft hum of life around her a comforting backdrop. The journey she had begun months ago with a simple bowl of blueberries had blossomed into something far richer, a renewed sense of agency over her health and a gentle optimism for the years to come. She traced her fingers over the rough bark of a nearby tree, feeling the steady pulse of nature, reminding her that growth was always possible no matter the age. In our last conversation, Emma spoke with a warmth that came from deep within. "I used to think aging meant losing control," she said softly, "but now I see it differently. It's about making choices, small, kind choices for myself, every day." Her eyes shone with a clarity that reflected more than just physical health. It was the light of someone who had reclaimed her story. She wanted others to know this too, that the path to feeling stronger and sharper isn't paved with complicated rules or expensive remedies. It's found in the everyday moments, the thoughtful bite, the mindful pause, the courage to change old habits. Emma's message was simple but powerful. Listen to your body, honor its needs, and don't be afraid to rewrite your routines. The humble blueberry, once just a fruit on her breakfast table, had become a symbol of that transformation. It reminded her that even small changes can ripple out into profound healing. She hoped her story would inspire others to explore their own journeys, to find joy and nourishment, and to embrace aging not as a loss, but as a new chapter of possibility. As we wrapped up our conversation, Emma smiled and said, "If I can do this, anyone can. It's never too late to start caring for yourself in the way you deserve." Her words lingered with me, a testament to the resilience and wisdom that come with living fully and kindly into every season of life. As Emma settled into her new rhythm of mindful eating and gentle self-care, she discovered that her journey was no longer just a private one. One crisp autumn afternoon, she found herself at the local community center, joining a group of seniors who met weekly to share stories, recipes, and support for healthy living. Nervous at first, Emma hesitated at the doorway, clutching her reusable tote bag filled with fresh fruit and her favorite blueberry smoothie in a thermos. But the moment she stepped inside, she was greeted with warm smiles and friendly voices. Faces lit up as people recognized the sparkle in her eyes and the renewed spring in her step. It wasn't long before Emma found herself sharing her story, how a small change in her breakfast habits had blossomed into a deeper transformation. She spoke about the little discoveries she'd made, avoiding dairy with blueberries, spacing out certain fruits, and the perfect pairings that made her mornings brighter and her mind sharper. The room filled with nods and knowing looks. Many in the group shared their own struggles and successes, from managing blood sugar to overcoming digestive sensitivities. Emma listened, encouraged, and realized that she was part of something bigger, a community bound not just by age, but by a shared desire to age gracefully and healthfully. One gentleman named Harold, who had been quiet until then, leaned forward and said, "You know, I never thought about how what we eat together could affect the benefits. I'm going to try what you're doing with those berries." His words were simple, but they carried a powerful message of hope and openness to change. Emma's heart swelled with gratitude. She understood now that health was not just an individual pursuit, but a collective one. The power of sharing knowledge, encouragement, and compassion could ripple through their lives, making the path easier for everyone. After the meeting, as the group gathered around tables laden with homemade snacks, Emma noticed how everyone's choices reflected a newfound awareness. Blueberries were featured in muffins, salads, and even infused waters. The air buzzed with stories of experiments in the kitchen and tips for better digestion and energy. At home that evening, Emma reflected on how far she had come, not just in the changes she had made to her diet, but in the connections she had forged. She realized that aging could be a time of growth, learning, and community, not just loss or limitation. Her daughter called that night, curious and eager to hear more about the group. Emma shared the stories and the warmth she had found, encouraging her daughter to bring her own friends to the next meeting. "We're all learning to care for ourselves better," she said, "and that makes everything feel more hopeful." The next morning, Emma prepared her usual blueberry and banana smoothie, but added a handful of chopped walnuts she had picked up at the farmer's market. She poured it into 2 glasses, one for herself and one to bring to the community center. It was a small gesture, but it felt like a celebration of the journey she was on. As she walked out the door, thermos in hand and a smile on her face, Emma felt a quiet confidence. She was no longer alone on this path. Surrounded by friends and strengthened by knowledge, she was embracing the seasons of her life with grace and joy. This chapter in Emma's story reminds us that wellness thrives in connection. When we share our experiences and learn from each other, we create a network of support that nurtures body, mind, and spirit. For seniors especially, community can be a vital ingredient in maintaining vitality and a positive outlook. Emma's transformation shows that the journey to better health is not just about the foods we eat, but also about the relationships we build and the stories we tell. It is a reminder that no matter our age, we can find strength in others and, in doing so, strengthen ourselves. As you consider your own path, think about the people around you. Who can you share your discoveries with? What small steps might bring you closer to a community that lifts you up? Like Emma, you might find that the greatest gift of all is not just better health, but the bonds forged along the way. The journey of change is rarely a straight path, and Emma soon discovered this truth firsthand. Despite the progress she had made and the newfound energy she felt, there were days when old habits tugged at her with surprising strength. One chilly morning, feeling rushed and distracted, she found herself reaching for the familiar comfort of cereal with cold milk and blueberries, the very combination she had vowed to avoid. That evening, as she reflected on the day, a pang of frustration settled in her chest. "Why is this so hard?" she wondered aloud. "I know what's best for me, yet sometimes it feels like I'm sabotaging myself." But instead of letting guilt take root, Emma chose a different path, one of patience and kindness toward herself. She reminded herself that change is a process, not a destination. Like the steady growth of a tree, wellness requires time, nurturing, and sometimes weathering storms. A single misstep didn't erase all the good she had built. It was simply a moment to learn from and move beyond. With this renewed mindset, Emma recommitted to her healthy habits. She planned her meals with intention, setting aside time to prepare blueberry smoothies with oat milk or Greek yogurt and walnuts. On days when she felt overwhelmed, she reached out to her community group for support and encouragement, finding comfort in shared stories of perseverance. Slowly but surely, Emma's confidence grew. She learned to recognize the triggers that led her back to old routines, a busy morning, stress, or fatigue, and develop gentle strategies to navigate them. Sometimes it was a deep breath before breakfast, other times a brief walk outside to clear her mind. Her body responded positively to this compassionate approach. The fog that had once clouded her thoughts lifted more fully each day. Her balance steadied, and the small aches that had once lingered began to fade. Emma realized that embracing imperfection was not a setback, but a vital part of lasting change. This phase of Emma's journey highlights an essential truth for all of us. Setbacks are natural and expected. They do not define us or our progress. What matters most is the willingness to continue, to show up for ourselves with patience and love. For seniors navigating health challenges, this message is especially important. The path to well-being is rarely easy, but it is always possible. By honoring our pace and being gentle with ourselves, we create a foundation for growth that endures beyond momentary struggles. Emma's story encourages us to see each day as a new opportunity, a chance to choose health, connection, and hope, regardless of the bumps along the way. With her diet steadily improving, Emma began to notice a new desire stirring within her, a longing to reconnect not only with nourishing foods, but also with her body through gentle movement. One crisp morning, after enjoying her blueberry and walnut smoothie, she decided to step outside for a slow walk through her neighborhood. The cool air filled her lungs, and the soft crunch of leaves underfoot created a peaceful rhythm. Emma found that these walks became a cherished ritual, a time to clear her mind and listen deeply to her body's needs. She noticed how the combination of wholesome foods and regular movement brought a subtle but profound change. Her muscles felt stronger, her balance more sure, and her spirits lifted. Along the way, she met neighbors who joined her strolls. Conversations blossomed, laughter echoed, and a sense of community grew. These walks became more than exercise. They were moments of mindfulness and connection, a holistic complement to the care she was giving herself through nutrition. Emma also discovered simple breathing exercises to calm her mind and reduce stress, especially helpful during restless nights. These practices, though gentle, helped balance her energy and improved her sleep quality, reinforcing the benefits of her healthier lifestyle. Her family noticed the difference too. Her granddaughter commented on how lively and engaged Grandma seemed during their visits, while her daughter expressed admiration for Emma's dedication and positivity. This chapter in Emma's story shows that health is a mosaic, a blend of nourishment, movement, and mindfulness. Each piece supports the others, creating a whole that is greater than the sum of its parts. For seniors watching this, Emma's journey is a warm invitation to find joy in caring for your body through simple, sustainable steps, to embrace movement not as a chore, but as a celebration of life, and to cultivate mindfulness that nurtures both body and soul. By weaving together these elements, Emma built a foundation of wellness that sustained her through the seasons, empowering her to live with grace, vitality, and happiness. As winter gave way to the first blush of spring, Emma found herself reflecting on the journey she had traveled. From tentative changes in her breakfast routine to embracing a vibrant community and mindful movement, each step had shaped a new chapter in her life. Sitting at her kitchen table, she held a bowl of blueberries, her favorite reminder of how small shifts can lead to remarkable transformations. Her reflection was tinged with gratitude. She thought about the mornings when her mind was foggy and her steps uncertain, and how those moments had slowly given way to clarity and confidence. Emma smiled softly, knowing that this progress was not about perfection, but persistence and love for herself. Her family noticed too. At a recent gathering, her daughter remarked on how energized and joyful Emma seemed, a testament to the deep changes happening beneath the surface. Emma felt proud, not because of numbers on a scale or test results, but because she had reclaimed her well-being in a way that felt authentic and sustainable. Looking forward, Emma embraced a hopeful mindset. She knew that aging would continue to bring challenges, but with the tools she had gained, the knowledge of nourishing food combinations, the support of community, and the peace found in mindful movement, she was ready to meet them with resilience. Her story stands as a gentle reminder to all seniors that the path to health is a lifelong journey. It invites us to celebrate every small victory, to be patient with setbacks, and to find joy in the everyday acts of care. Emma's message is clear. It is never too late to start, to change, or to grow. With each thoughtful choice, we plant seeds of wellness that bloom into a fuller, richer life. Emma's journey began with a simple but powerful change, rethinking how she ate her beloved blueberries. What seemed like a small adjustment, avoiding milk and spacing out certain fruits, unlocked a cascade of benefits she hadn't expected. Her mind grew clearer, her energy steadied, and her balance improved. These were more than physical shifts. They were signs of a deeper reconnection with her body and its needs. Along the way, Emma discovered the strength of community and the joy of mindful movement. She found that nourishing her body wasn't just about food, but about embracing a lifestyle of care and patience. When setbacks came, she met them with kindness rather than frustration, reminding herself that change is a journey, not a race. Her story invites each of us to pause and reflect on our own habits. Are there small, overlooked choices we can shift today that might lead to brighter mornings and steadier steps tomorrow? Sometimes the path to better health lies not in drastic overhauls, but in thoughtful, consistent acts of self-love. As you consider Emma's experience, remember that it's never too late to start caring for yourself differently. Each mindful bite, each gentle walk, and each moment of patience plants a seed for lasting wellness. So take a moment now, breathe deeply, and ask yourself, what's one simple change you can make today to honor your body and your future? The journey may be gradual, but the rewards are profound: a clearer mind, a stronger heart, and a life lived fully with grace and hope. And just like Emma, you have the power to rewrite your story, one caring choice at a time.